we may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that.
Could we see a tariff-driven recession and a subsequent housing crash? Hey everybody, Scott Walters, buckle up, strap in. We got a hard-hitting pull, no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows or sunshine. I'm just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. We got a good one to unpackage today. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great. So could we see a tariff-driven recession and a subsequent housing crash? I mean, I think you have to definitely entertain the possibility, because the realities are this, friends. These tariffs at surface value, at face value, seem like, hey, this is a strategic play that's going to ultimately help the country, which in fact, it's probably going to do at some level, but there's going to be a byproduct. It's going to have blowback. We're already seeing that happen with other countries now implementing tariffs on us as well. What do you think that's going to do for the inflationary war that we're currently in? It's not going to help it, friends. So, I mean, we already have a lot of things to contend with. And the number one thing, friends, and you know I'm a real estate guy, I love real estate, all things real estate. I know everything hinges on the U.S. housing market. If we lose the U.S. housing market, we're going to lose the economy, friends, and it will have a global ripple effect. It's proven that. It's shown that in the past. We know that that's a clear and present danger. And, you know, this bubble was much different than other bubbles. It was worse because it was artificially induced with no organic growth. But, you know, unfortunately, we've got a lot of cleanup on aisle 5 to try to correct the ship with our country. And it might just be too big to save. And I believe what we're going to see is the prices potentially, I mean, I think a lot of us had a lot of hopeism, like as soon as we saw this new administration ushered in and a lot of great things happening, but it's not going to be fairy dust onto the situation. It's not going to be able to cure anything overnight. It's going to have to be, you know, worked out, and it's going to have to run its course. I believe that the tariff situation, and I got an email. One of the reasons I wanted to report on this today is I had an email recently where somebody accused me of just being, you know, on the right. And here I'll read a little bit. I'll read a little bit of it to you. Right, let's go ahead and bring a viewer into the show. Hey, so I've been watching your channel for the last 6 months, and I've noticed a trend. You're quick to blame leadership's Democrats in blue states like California, but you refuse to call out the Republican Party in red states. Florida has a Republican governor, supermajority in the House and the state Senate. The whole state is ran by Republicans. We now have a Republican governor president, as well as a Republican control the House and the Senate in Washington. Yet you never say to blame the housing crisis in red states. You tell your listeners you're transparent. You're not. Your channel is turned into a MAGA machine. I think you should at least let your viewers know that you won't talk bad about Republicans or blame Republicans because you're a Republican too. Show transparency on your channel. Thanks for taking the time, and I hope nothing but the best for you. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback. Now here's my response to this email. Thank you for reaching out. You're right. I can't see how that reflection can be made. I definitely lean right, but I try to remain as neutral as possible. I don't think either administration is going to be able to sprinkle fairy dust on any of this, and I'm usually quick to say so. I agree with you. And, you know, my response, friends, is I definitely lean right, but I try to remain pretty neutral. Like, you know, my job's to support whoever is in office, right? The last leadership, though, was really hard to support. Now, I know a lot of people out there having a hard time supporting our current leadership the way a lot of us had a problem supporting our prior leadership. But for me, it was just getting way too wacky out there, and it was all courtesy of the crisis, right? It just, I always talk about how in the waters that we're currently swimming in aren't just economically driven, which is bad enough. They're also socially and politically driven as well, with a lot of divide and just confused people, right? I mean, that's one thing that happened. A lot of people just became really confused. So I love the common sense approach. There's a lot of things that secure borders, two sexes. I'm all about those things. Now, when it comes to economics, I just know the housing market is the backbone backbone of our economy. It is a monster. It's the biggest asset class on planet Earth, and it's already being put through the biggest stress test ever witnessed in human history with the overnight appreciation to never seen before highs. They couldn't sustain themselves, so we're now at that tipping point. So the only way to save it is to see if we can make wages keep up with inflation, which we cannot. And even if we could, the inflationary run-ups that have occurred or we've actually had to suffer at the hands of so far, even if we slow it down to our 2% target, we still had huge run-ups there too. So it's going to be really hard to sustain itself. History would tell you another recession is in fact coming. We've always had corrections, recessions, and depressions throughout recorded history. So one of those is coming. You have to ask yourself, I have to ask myself, we all have to put a percentage of likelihood of which one we think is going to come. Anybody thinks that this can just be status quo and the new normal and we'll see just this new utopia happen is probably sorely mistaken. And if that did happen, it would require a lot of government overreach and intervention, and the whole climate of our monetary system would change, which in fact, there's a lot of people out there potentially, and a lot of people wearing tinfoil. I know, like even channels like this, a lot of this is tinfoil hat type stuff. But my job is always to kind of raise awareness, ring the bell, and sound the alarm, read between the lines and look between the economic cracks, really monitor the health and the fitness of the U.S. housing market, because I think everything really hinges on that. So, for the person that accused me of being too far right and, basically a MAGA station and this and that and the other, I understand and I get it. And that's not my intent. But we all are all entitled to our position. And my position is purely this. It's really quite simple. You can't overheat the biggest asset class on planet Earth and expect it to sustain itself and not have blowback. And unfortunately, this thing's gonna have to correct. Now, unfortunately, we're already seeing a lot of Americans having a hard time keeping up with their bills, as the U.S. savings rate now is, and been this way for a while, is at an all-time never seen before low. And U.S. debt is at an all-time never seen before high. We've exhausted our savings. We're running on fumes. And what I saw as an active real estate agent was people putting a lot of pressure to buy a house, willing to get into bidding wars and overpay for that house. They got tunnel vision. They suffered from herd mentality and FOMO. And that just put fuel on that housing bubble. And that's just dangerous. So we're seeing a lot of areas of the country, in fact, now with days on market and price reductions becoming the norm. It's shifting to what we would call a buyer's market. But you see, the thing is, and one of the things I've always said on that topic, there's right ways and wrong ways to buy your first house, your primary home. Even if that's your whole goal in life is to own one house, the house you live in. And traditionally, that's what we used to do. You get a 30-year mortgage, pay it off, go into your retirement years with the house that's paid off. Those times are changing because this has become a speculatory asset. $1 million listing shows, glamorizing it, BlackRocks, Blackstones, all these big, Wall Street conglomerates with massive holdings now influencing the market. The leadership allowing that to happen, incentivizing it. And, a lot of them engaged in this game of musical chairs, and they're going to take a big hit too. My challenge with this, friends, is tariffs are probably not going to help inflation, at least not immediately, eventually, possibly. But we'll have a lot of shaking out to do. Eventually, the housing market will need to be addressed because I just don't really see it being able to sustain itself moving forward because of those extreme run-ups. You add inflation, the U.S. debt, U.S. savings rate, tariffs, and everything else. It's just going to be too much for the housing market to be able to tolerate. And final thoughts that come to you as a friend, as a content creator, as a real estate guy that wants to see not only win in real estate, win in life. Understand the waters you're swimming in now, they're shark infested. Tariffs. Welcome to the swimming pool. We're in the deep end with this one. This is getting ugly out there. A lot of countries trying to flex, impose their will upon us because we're trying to correct our own ship. But we're the most powerful country on planet Earth, and we currently hold the reserve currency. Everybody has always looked to us as the benchmark for success, the land of the free, the land of opportunity. We need to get those things back, and overheating the housing market was not a good choice. I believe tariffs are going to have to play out, and it's going to be interesting. They are just another thing currently threatening the U.S. economy and the markets as a whole, but none as big as the U.S. housing market. If we lose it, we will lose everything. If you're buying today, tomorrow, next week, or next year, always make sure you just come in with enough money down to put that property's cost to carry within its rent range. That's the best thing that you can do, and that's why I'll be here to blow the lid off it every step of the way. Because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. If you appreciate the content, I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Social media links in the description of this video if you'd like to follow me there, along with links to channels I've appeared on I think you might enjoy. If you need help buying or selling real estate here in America, I have the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you. It would be our honor and our privilege to do so. Email in the description for you as well. Also, if you're watching from your television set today and you enjoyed this video, you're going to love the next video, and there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count today. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.